of the dark.
Okay, that's a good prelude. So, welcome everyone to a new episode of Friendly Skies podcast. It's been a while, but we are here with Dresden, aka Cullen, Leah, aka Leah Sue, and myself, Matt, aka Downey Jr. or Downey or Little D.
Little D, I don't think you should say that. Little D? No.
I mean,
none of which we've ever addressed you by except Little D.
I can't go with Little D. That doesn't make sense.
All right.
Okay,
well,
continue.
We'll keep this in the podcast, but this is dangerous already. Okay, so let me make sure I'm recording. I always do this. So we're going to talk about today's election night. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Phasmaphobia, our latest video game addiction.
Obsession.
We need to talk a lot about that because I have some issues with the way you play, Matt.
I know you do, Colin.
Although he did redeem himself last night, no?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little pleased that he, finally managed to do something.
A little pleased. That goes a long way.
Yeah, where that threw me off because we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to have to give Colin my honest reason of why I did that, Leah, right? And I don't know if he's going to be happy about it, but the other topic, we'll talk about that, and then we're going to talk about Assassin's Creed Valhalla coming out next week or less than a week, Cyberpunk delay maybe, and also Nvidia delaying everything, which Colin has yet again proven me wrong and him right, which I'm sure he'll be happy to hear that. So that's it, and we're going to fly from Boston to Washington because I think, wait, is the White House in Washington?
Yeah, Washington,
so,
D.C.
is that game...
Not Washington State, Washington, D.C.
Is that game going to accurately depict the fucking riots in the streets as they happen?
That'd be cool.
God.
It eventually goes to shambles in like a matter of 2 hours.
Oh, God. Apparently, he put up a new fence, additional security at the White House, I believe last night. So, clearly he even thinks that something serious is going to happen.
Yeah.
To,
Well, let me be clear because I don't want to alienate my audience of 3 people that watch the podcast. We're not going to say, hey, right or left is right or wrong, but we will.
I'm going to say that even though I'm not a registered voter.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say that too.
I'm going to be the most opinionated out of all of you, and I don't even vote, which is the most ironic part.
And that is fantastic, Colin. And I'm glad that
Don't say that's fantastic. It is not.
Okay, focus. I'm in an airliner, not that anyone cares, and I'm flying to Washington now. So we're up in the air. So about election night, I'm clearly. You can look at it 2 ways. You can look at it being scared and asking a friend about what type of guns you should buy, or you could just treat it as any other election and be like, well, whoever gets voted in is just the fucking president. What do you guys feel about that?
Matt, you already asked me what kind of gun you should buy, so...
Oh, okay.
I mean, I guess that kind of dictates where you stand on that.
Yes, Matt has been increasingly talking about gun ownership and purchasing a gun and what it means to have a gun and guns.
And Leah's not a fan of that because
No, why don't you explain why?
Well, I am not a fan of it because I've had bad experiences where I was at parties and people were doing weird shit and then they bring out a gun, and irresponsible gun ownership, I should label it as. But I will say, so earlier Matt and I had a conversation about it, maybe close, could have turned into an argument. It was close. Where I was expressing some extreme case scenarios about what could happen if you have a gun. And it was actually really good because I expressed these extreme scenarios, which were very extreme, and he gave me logical responses of why other things are more dangerous, and it actually made sense to me. And so now I'm kind of like, I still don't like guns, but I'm leaning a little bit more towards, okay, I understand.
Let me be clear. I am not going to buy a gun tomorrow, but the reason I was thinking about it was because we may fall into complete anarchy, and I have to defend ourselves from people coming in and trying to shoot us. So Yeah,
Yeah.
Cullen, what is your opinion on gun ownership?
Well,
I'm a gun owner. This is why Matt has been discussing this a lot recently, because I have a small cache of firearms in my house. Yeah, but I do recreational shooting. I belong to a gun range around here, and I'm very
How often do
satisfied.
you go, by the way?
I'm sorry?
How often? You guys can hear me, okay? Right? Just want to make
Yep.
sure. Whatever
Yeah,
gets
I
Yeah.
can hear
recorded
you.
is.
How often do I go?
Yeah.
I actually haven't gone in a while. It's probably haven't even been in over a year.
Wow, that's been a
But
while, huh?
the range fees are actually like astronomical. Like I pay like $190 a year to be a member of this range, and um, it was kind of a bitch to become a member.
it was a lengthy process, which is understandable. So I'm always renewing my membership
Mm-hmm.
So
out
wait,
of
it's 100,
fear that
190 a year, you said?
yeah, but like for
new or people that dropped in are renewing, it's like 300 or something like that for like the fifth year. So like I've been I think what's kept me as a member is the thought of losing my membership and having to pay a bunch of money when I decide I have the time to go shooting again. But what initially prevented me from going was school. I just had no fucking time, and then I just kind of got into a routine of not going and spending fucking $100 on ammo, which is
Sorry, where's our fucking dog right now?
Um, our dog is slightly ill, and I don't know why he's barking. He should be
Don't
asleep.
don't make excuses for him.
He
Okay,
should be
so
asleep.
okay,
Anyway,
so
sorry. No, that was so. I was actually wondering about the price, the costs of all this, because I know a gun itself probably costs a lot of money, and then you got to get training, and you got to get like a gun safe.
well, Massachusetts is a little different from other states. Massachusetts is a model state, which means that it has incredibly strict gun laws. Like licensure is mandatory, which is not, nationwide. All laws are actually dictated by the states.
And there's no open
Individually.
carry, right?
I actually think there is open carry allowed in Massachusetts. Nobody does it, but I actually am pretty sure that you can open carry. You can definitely conceal carry because I have a license to conceal carry. You have to get training in the sense of like take safety courses, which I think is fine. Like I don't have any problem with it. I don't have a problem with licensure, to be honest with you. I mean, a lot of red states out there would be like, oh no, it's just another loop we have to jump through to get our guns. It's like, well, it's a safety thing, man. Like I honestly don't have a problem with it. I have a problem with some of the dumb shit that they enforce in terms of what's legal in Massachusetts, like magazine capacity and stuff like that. It's just stupid. It doesn't
Right.
make guns any less dangerous,
Right.
well, and then you still see school shooters and whatever with ARs, which I'm sure they're beyond
Massachusetts hasn't had one though.
I don't think we've had one in Massachusetts.
Oh,
Think
really?
about it.
I honestly don't think that the precautionary things they take for guns is even part of the reason why. I mean, it's like so stupid. Like even states where it's flat out banned. I believe Chicago, you're not allowed to own guns in. New York City, I don't think you're allowed to own guns in, and they still have gun violence there. It's not like
Yeah.
it stops gun violence from happening.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of my things. As I was saying to Matt, was statistically owning a gun, you're more likely to die by one.
Yeah, but like, who said that?
A statistician. A statistician.
A statistician.
A person who does statistics.
Very
No,
specific. Listen,
I mean, that's just.
I get it. I remember the first time my friend Dan Cullen, you don't know him, but you probably get along with him. But he's been a gun owner for as long as I've probably known him, and he's used it actually. I think at least once. I'm not gonna say his last name because he doesn't like me to anyway. But he pulled out a gun once and like showed it to me, and and showed me how to properly handle it, and I was freaked out when I first saw it. But like Leah, you saw a gun too when someone pulled it out somewhere, right?
Right. In a very
very
you
different
know,
context. I mean, according to Leah, which
uncomfortable situation. Yes.
Things that made her uncomfortable would make probably any person that was like had a modicum of sense about
Right.
gun
I mean,
ownership
to be
uncomfortable.
in general, it was, at a party, the person was somewhat under the influence and was,
Yeah,
you know,
that's fucking stupid.
yeah. So,
That's what I told her. Yeah.
and I went to college in New Hampshire and I had other experiences. So yeah, but when Matt and I were talking about it earlier, it was like the difference between responsible gun ownership and what I experienced too. So I get it, and I understand, especially now. Especially now. I mean, my parents are hippies, and they've even been thought about the idea of what would it be like, to have a gun.
Well,
Which,
my dad's been browse. You keep remember when we when we visit them, like I walk in on him and he's like on a web page like showing a gun. Like I don't know if he's actually gonna buy one or like he really likes guns.
yeah.
But I'm gonna.
It's kind of normal
Hold on,
to
I'll get
me
him.
because my parents both are gun. My parents are divorced, but both of them own guns.
Yeah.
They both shoot.
Right.
It's just something. I'm not gonna say it was something I grew up with. It wasn't. My mom actually used to be pretty anti-gun when I was younger, and she was pretty vehement about actually never owning a gun. And
Yeah. Sorry, my
Who was
parents.
that? I missed that. Was that Kaz?
no, my mom.
Cullen's
Your
mother.
mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mother is a gun owner too, and so is my father.
Right.
they're divorced, and I'm speaking of them individually because they are not together. But my mother used to be adamant about not owning guns. She used to hate them, actually, and then
It was kind of shocking to me. She woke up one day and was just like, you know what, I want to go shoot a gun. So she took some courses, and she ended up really liking it. And now she has a locker full of them.
Well, that's what I told Lee. I said, and it's funny that I didn't intend to talk about guns this much, about talking about the elections themselves, but I did tell Lee. I said they're intimidating, and I like I said, I was intimidated when I saw my friend Dan pull out a gun, and I'll probably be more intimidated to see Cullen do that because he'd probably shoot me. But I told her, I said, take her to the gun range and like be comfortable with one, and then see what you think. I don't know. What do you think, Cullen? Do you think Leah should go to a gun range if any time in the future to buy a gun?
Oh, well, I mean, I can't even wash the dishes without hurting myself, so.
no, I mean, I think
Just give her an Uzi.
if you guys were interested in making a foray into shooting, you actually live near.
I mean, you have the luxury of living near the 6-hour academy where they train people.
Right.
It's up in Exeter, New Hampshire, and that's actually where my father and my stepmother went to go learn how to shoot. And apparently, they're very good. They're very thorough. They're very extensive. I think if you ever wanted to take a foray into shooting,
I see a lot of people are like, oh, my introduction to shooting was I went to a range. I never had any experience before. I paid some
fee. I picked up a gun and just started shooting it. It's like I don't think that's a good idea necessarily, unless you have like some familiarity with guns. The thing is this academy will train you, by this. This is like where the FBI goes to fucking train their people on gun usage, and
Yeah,
I would take a safety course, and I would because every safety course is going to have you shoot, so you're going to actually shoot, but
That's
they're going to teach you how to handle guns safely and stuff like that. I remember when I was a kid, man, my first introduction to guns was my friend was he's dead now, and I don't actually really want to get too much into his personal life, but
not by a gunshot wound, right?
No, he killed himself.
Oh, with a gun.
Gosh.
Yeah,
Stop
with a gun.
it.
No, what?
I'm just saying.
I'm not even kidding, but like I really don't want to go too far into him, but like
no, don't worry about it.
My first foray into it was I was at his house one day, and he used to shoot competitively, and he like showed me his gun and shit like that, and I was freaked out, but I was like a kid, you know. I wasn't like, it was kind of strange because he was probably like 9th, 10th grade or so, but he was like shooting competitively, and he was very good at it.
Right.
I think the circumstances that you're first introduced to guns kind of shape your idea of them. If Leah didn't have an experience like that was like some idiot waving a gun in her face when he was, you know, drunk or
On
something,
cocaine.
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
I mean, like that kind of molds you, and you're gonna build a fucking
Perception on it.
perception based strictly on that, you know.
Yeah, I have another story too, which is kind of dark, which I probably shouldn't tell here, but it was like.
But you'll
Another
tell me
thing.
later because I
I
love you.
will.
You
I
could,
will.
you
I
could,
mean, I
yeah.
can tell it now too. I just said it, so I feel like I should tell it now. But it was, I mean, like,
It's okay.
yeah,
20 people will watch this, so you know.
it was the gist of it was like when I first moved to the city, I lived with a bunch of people, and like it was like a friend of one of the friends of the people I knew had this crazy story where he told, and I didn't really know him, so who knows if it was true, but he told me the story about how it was something to do with like gangs and he, you know, some of his friends, he wasn't there, but some of his friends that he knew were like sitting around, like at someone's house, like a bunch of like young dudes, like sitting around playing video games. And like one of their friends came in and like there's something about gangs, and he sat down and played video games with them, and then afterwards like shot them all. And
What?
I don't even know if that's like a true story or if someone was just fucking with me or if it's true or if it was exaggerated.
Hold on.
But,
He shot everyone?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I know, and it's like stories like that. By the way, okay, who knows if that's even true? It's just stories like that, like you said, Cullen, kind of molded my view of guns. Whether it was true or not, it just carried those stories with me.
I mean, it's not only that, but it's just like media perception. If you ever hear anything on the news about guns, it's never going to be positive. You know, it's like
The media demonizes them so much, and you know.
And I watch a lot of true crime too, like admittedly.
Yeah, I mean the way I look at it, the reality is that ideally in a world we don't need to have guns, although we play video games shooting guns all the time, blah blah blah. We don't
Yeah,
need
but
to,
then we revive,
unless we do revive Leah and
You don't do that in real life?
right?
Leah revives more than most. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, well, fuck it, then I'm selling my guns, dude. Why am I... They sound dangerous now.
If only.
And I've made this analogy. Life is kind of like a game. I've talked to this about with Leah about just
We're
life
living in a
general.
simulation.
Well, no, I'm just saying life. Listen, life is a game. Humans, I don't want to
Yes,
get into
it's called the play of consciousness. It's like a
Well,
Hindu. Thing.
I mean, people sometimes take shit too seriously, but you can enjoy guns. Me personally, I probably would enjoy them, like shooting at a shooting range or whatever. But also, let's face it. I mean, and I don't know why Cullen originally got, or owns the guns for whatever the reasons, and probably multiple and the same ones that I would say is obviously like one of the reasons would be self-defense, and I feel like I don't know.
I don't
know.
think any of us, and none of us live anywhere. I have a concealed carry permit. I have a concealed carry gun,
But I don't think any of us live in an area where
It's like dangerous.
it's necessary, you know.
Not really. No, not
Like,
really.
you know, there definitely is. You know, I'm not walking around outside worried about being, shot or mugged or anything like that. You know, I've carried before just to
Right.
just to see what it's like, and yeah, it's kind of fun. It's like I'm a cowboy now.
You're like, I have a secret. No one knows.
Yeah,
Ew.
it's fun and all, but I definitely do think there are situational.
Right.
There's situations
Things
where
could happen.
people, do need to carry them, and I think they should be allowed to do that. You know, I think people in security should be able to carry guns whenever the fuck they want. You know,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
it bothers me that there's like unarmed security guards like anywhere, even at the fucking mall. It's like, come on, man, like.
Right. Yeah. What is the point?
What's the point?
Rent a cop.
So let me go back. Let me go back to the election because we talked enough about guns, and I'm sure I've lost everyone already at the podcast. But if you still are okay with this, with what's going on this week, basically it's an election that's going to last at least a week, and we're going to get a whole bunch of shit. And I was driving around today. Cullen, you were driving around today too, right?
Not really. I mean,
you were in traffic a little bit. You told me.
I was in traffic coming home, but
well. Let me ask you this:
really out that much earlier.
Do you feel like people are more tense right now? Do you feel like there's a tension in the air?
Should have seen the fucking line at the liquor store, dude.
Well, there's a liquor store we drove by, and instead of having a sign of like "We're open" or "Have a nice day," they had a sign of "You probably need some wine."
Please don't bring your guns.
I'm like, oh my god, this is getting bad.
No, we don't live in a state like that. I mean, I'm not.
We're lucky. We are lucky.
Worst case scenario, I'm not worried about, even if Trump gets reelected, which I highly doubt is going to happen.
Right.
But
it may. Who knows? Who
we don't
fucking
live in a
knows?
state where I'm worried about people
going crazy. Even or if Biden or vice versa, if Biden wins, I'm not really concerned about, some fucking upset MAGA hats like destroying shit.
It seems like there's extremists on both sides.
But don't you think that it's going to happen, like it potentially could happen in Boston? Like I feel like like the city of Boston, right? We're a little lucky. We're a little outside of that. I feel somewhat safe. I know where Cullen is. I feel like he's okay, but like Boston.
I mean, look what happens after a sports game. Sorry to cut you off, but like, look what happens after certain sports games. Like, if we lose or win, I mean, I'm not trying to.
I'll never fucking understand that mentality. And the prime offenders that go and trash fucking cities after sports win are people that don't live in those cities.
Right.
Yeah, that's
people that live like in the fucking suburbs somewhere safe where they can just go back home after they demolish the city.
Right.
And
right.
I lived in Boston when the Red Sox first won the fucking World Series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was
their
extended
extended hiatus of not winning.
What year was that?
I don't even remember. It was like 2004 or 5. I don't follow sports at all, so it was
I don't think I was there for that. Okay.
Me either. It's all a blur.
I lived downtown back then, and people came and just fucking destroyed the city.
Well, I
was like, well, thanks. Now you're all gonna go back home to Weymouth, wherever the fuck you live, and I can't take the train anymore.
They're going to fucking Chelmsford.
Yeah.
Can I swear on this? I forget.
You can. I mean, this is all terrible for all of our livelihoods.
Okay.
No, but I was gonna say that I lived in, I think, from 2000 to 2005. I lived in Western Mass, and there were riots in like UMass Amherst, and those were insane too. You had cops with shields coming in. I don't know why they were rioting. I think actually it was because of maybe one of them was because of the Red Sox game, like Cullen was saying.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was like escaping the cops. I was escaping the cops with riot gear, and I was like, I hope I don't get like a fucking rubber bullet to the head.
Dude,
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. The thing that fucking blew me away was like the riots that happened in Boston when we won. We won.
That's the thing. It was a celebration.
Burned our fucking city down, like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a celebration in which they destroyed.
Like, who was it? Like Philly, like a couple of years ago during either a football game or something, like destroyed their city because they lost. And it's like,
I kind of get that. But it's like when you win, it's like, come on, guys. Like, do you have to tear the place down?
Well,
like,
just think about like crowd mentality. Just think about when you're leaving a concert and like how people are, knocking shit over and trashing things just as they're walking out. Like, there's no upset. There's no drama, there's no nothing. I mean, humans in a crowd mentality, if you mix in alcohol, like, forget about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I get it. Like, when you explain it like that, but then people actually do it, and you're just like, I don't get it.
That's why I
don't get it.
I don't like going out in crowds. I really don't like big crowds.
It's easy to sit back as an observer and be like, everyone's so fucking stupid when it comes to the crowd mentality, and then you're actually in a situation where that becomes precedent. You're like, I'm falling victim to all these tropes that I swore I'd never fall victim to.
Yeah.
Oh, I used to go out and do things that I don't do anymore. Like I used to go out to the St. Patrick's Day parade in South Boston every year. I had friends that had that new friends that had parties there, and it like I remember very vividly being with my friends trying to go to South Boston, getting to the train, and we were at the edge of the train track. I don't know what that's called. The right, I don't know, the edge, and all these floods of people coming down, drunk, green and white people just coming down. The crowd was so big that
You talking about
they
like
were,
the Fenway stop, like right next to AMC there?
I don't know which stop it was, but we were right on the, standing in front of the train waiting for it to come. And people from the back were pushing, pushing, pushing. So the people at the front were like being pushed into the train tracks. And I remember people were yelling like, stop pushing, like it was very dangerous. And I remember being at the front and I was terrified, and I didn't care about getting on the train at that point. I just tried to go back. And even when, you think about when I was commuting on the Orange Line and
All I thought about was surviving.
yeah, no, I have train stories where it was very scary. Like where people with delays on the Orange Line in the winter. There was one winter where it was really bad and people were like having to get to work and they were leaping over people and
Yeah.
falling down and
No, the Boston subway system is a fucking shit show. Yeah.
yeah, it's just the
We
crowd. I
all
don't
know
like
it well.
crowds. I do not like crowds.
It's not good, and that's good. And it's good that, but I'll honestly, and I do feel bad for the people in major cities on election night because I think some shit might go down.
I feel
It
bad
shouldn't.
for people that are living in a state that's pretty much decided, like Massachusetts, like for one, like I don't expect Massachusetts people to fucking most of us to fucking burn the place down if we don't get our way, but there's still people
Probably
here
not.
that vote for Trump, and
Right.
there's still people in these southern states that are voting for Biden, and they're just gonna watch their fucking home get destroyed if Biden wins, and it fucking
Right.
sucks.
Right.
I mean, it's it's kind of sad that we have to prepare for the worst, but it's really starting to sound like there's going to be a lot of civil unrest, no matter what the outcome is. And
Yeah. Well,
I gotta work tomorrow too.
Oh,
Jesus.
jeez, I'm sorry.
That's
we
all right.
all gotta work. Yeah, the rest. I thought it was Friday today. To be honest, I told my boss, I was like, yeah, I'll get that to you to like Monday morning. I was like, holy shit, it's fucking, what is it, Tuesday or something?
It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Can you conceal carry to work? Is that that would be weird. That would be bad.
That's kind of a gray area.
That would be bad. Okay.
Well, I do have, I was gonna end this election conversation here, but I do want to ask Cullen's opinion. One last thing here on the gun issue, not even issue, just like topic. If people can conceal and carry, and more people are buying guns, do you see that as an issue with people carrying guns and can't control themselves, and then maybe like, they're out and about and they get pissed off? I mean, no one's
using a gun.
Yeah, I haven't seen any cases of it, so
I mean,
should we
it
be
does
worried
happen.
about it? Yeah.
No, it definitely does happen. It does happen with
People that legally own guns, and it does happen to people that illegally own guns. And
I mean, Bruce Wayne's parents, like, fucking, they were victims of gun violence. There's a perfect example.
Well, Bruce
like, who the
Wayne's
fuck
parents
is
should have
Bruce
carried.
Wayne?
Right.
I was like, oh yeah, Batman.
His family was a prime candidate to defend themselves, so I'm going to use that as an example.
The argument is that
Yeah, I mean, if there are going to be people out there that do shit like that, and there's no denying it. But it's like if you're adding more people into the equation that are carrying, I feel like the threat of somebody else having a gun would prevent other people from acting like idiots. I think what causes people to do that now is the fact that they don't count on the fact that the other person is carrying a gun.
Right. That's a good point. Well, because I was going to say, when I drive into New Hampshire, which we have some friends that live there, I used to always think, and I would tell Leah too, is like, I drive into New Hampshire. I do not get involved in any, like, if there's road rage, fucking let it go, because everyone's fucking probably carrying a fucking gun there.
Yeah, that's wise.
And I'm not carrying a gun, so I'm gonna let them go. You know what I'm saying? So
But I tell you, but you should be that way everywhere you are, not just in New Hampshire. You can always assume someone else has a gun, especially when
I think
on the road, especially.
right.
the probability of people carrying, carrying
On the road.
concealed carry is actually, in some fucked up way, I think it actually stabilizes people that would have urges to do stuff
Well,
like that.
I
sidebar
agree with
though,
that.
the road
I agree with
rage
that.
thing, like they don't even have to get a gun. I still think it's a bad idea because you get into a situation where you're I don't know, where you're yelling at people and whatever. The road rage thing is always a bad idea.
It is, but to Cullen's point, though,
I think
if
pulling
you
a
knew
gun
that-
out at any point, other than when you think your life is in danger, is a fucking bad idea.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like the only real situation when you can justifiably and legally pull out a gun is if you genuinely think your life is in danger. You know,
Right.
like that couple that was standing outside their fucking house, like with their fucking guns.
Yeah.
Like the rioters, like that's outrageous, dude. And like, I don't understand how those people didn't get arrested. You know, like
I
this
think
shit's
something did happen
fucking
to them.
outrageous. Like, did they? I don't think they did. That's what
No,
that's
it
what
didn't-
bothers
it
me, man.
didn't-
Like,
Nothing happened for a while, and then they were even part of the Republican National Convention. They were speakers, and then I think recently something happened with them.
I mean, like the woman too, like had her finger on the trigger too. Like it's like, let's fucking go. Like,
what are you
Who did?
doing, dude? Like the woman that was, I don't know her name. It was the woman
It was the
that
blonde chick with the stripes.
yeah. She
Okay.
had her finger on her fucking her finger on the trigger the whole fucking time. Like,
You
are
know-
you like about to shoot somebody? Like,
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
yeah. The wife of the governor.
The old white people, the rich white old people. that were waiting at-
Yeah.
there's like that
yeah,
those
I gotcha.
pictures of that couple that were standing outside their house. One had like an AR-15,
Yeah.
and the fucking wife had like a fucking revolver or
She
some
had a
shit.
fucking stub nose or some shit.
She had
Yeah.
her fucking finger on the trigger the whole time, and it's like, dude, anybody ever teaches you the first thing about fucking gun owners, using guns is don't fucking put your finger on the trigger until you're definitely shooting something.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of videos on this guy on YouTube, Hickok or something, 45.
Hickok 45.
Yeah,
He's famous, dude.
Yeah, you watch videos on him. Obviously, like also like before FPS
He has
Russia.
a pod. Well, I don't watch FPS Russia because
That guy's a fucking idiot.
I thought that guy was in jail now, but yeah.
Hickok is great because he talks about rights. I mean, he doesn't just shoot guns and review them. He has a podcast,
And
and
he treats them with respect. Like he's
Yeah.
very.
Well, that's how they should be treated.
well, he has like sponsorships too. I mean, Federal gives him ammunition for almost every video he films. So
Right.
Bud's Gun Shop, I know, is like loaning him guns all the time. So
Mhm.
You know what I just realized? I just realized something about guns. To me, it's like standard driving. Learning how to drive with a stick. Like, I don't want to drive a standard car, but I feel like I should know how to drive a standard car in case something happened and I needed to.
it's funny
So I
because
feel
like
that way about guns now. It's like I don't want a gun and I don't want to shoot a gun, but I feel like I should know how in case I needed to.
wasn't there a period of time where like riflery was like part of the curriculum in elementary school or some shit like that?
In like world,
I feel like it was like they were
1900?
probably yeah.
That'd be
They
interesting
were
to see
like
when
in
that
case,
actually
like the
happened.
Kaiser comes or something.
before
Right.
before we realized that kids should be like not be working and shooting guns when they're 6. Yeah.
when kids were like working in like fucking like artillery factories making like mortars.
We're like, you're small and you can fit into things, so do all this work and be
Yeah.
dangerous. It's great.
We're also worried about like Hitler invading America.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
All
and
hands on deck.
yeah, I mean, those are all. People don't realize how close we are to the edge on a lot of this shit, but we'll find out with this election. So
Matt, what's your opinion on the election then?
Yeah.
I
What do
mean,
you think? You haven't said what you think.
You haven't said what you think.
well, I like to take the opinion of like, well, it's just a president. We're gonna take who we get, and then I have the other opinion of like, I know people are fucking what I realized after going on YouTube and Twitter a lot, and I told Leah this, like I do go, and I used to not do this, but now I've done it just to see what people's reactions, and I would comment as well, probably as this podcast as well. And I realized that a lot of people are not smart, and no one's really looking at the facts, and everyone's just kind of fucking talking a lot of crazy shit. And so I think it could go either way with this election. I think it could really go sideways, or it could just be like, well, it's just like any other election, and then people have to accept whoever gets picked.
Yeah, no one can predict. Like, if you try to predict, I don't think anyone can predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're talking about like facts and shit like that, like.
Well, I'm talking about like shit that people, there's a lot of shows now like The Social Dilemma and talking about social media. And Cullen, I think you're pretty good at this because I don't peg you as a guy that like fucking lives his life by social media. But a lot of people out there are very distracted by like technology and social media to the point that it's like literally making us dumber. And I've said this a long time because with my music and shit is that YouTube and Google and everyone else before them was always pushing stuff that would make them more money. So people are basically watching shit every day. Like superficial. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember a couple months ago, or maybe probably longer than that, when they actually like instituted like a fact-checking program into Facebook, and all the fucking, I don't know how it was for you, but I have a lot of friends that are fucking Trump leaning, and they're all outraged at the fact that Facebook took the initiative to have fact-checking information, and they're like, how could this happen?
Why are they outraged?
Why
Twitter,
it's censorship? It's like, no, because like, look who's in office, dude. Like,
but
I mean, half the shit this guy fucking quotes is from QAnon. Like,
right.
They're basically admitting that they know that he's lying because they don't want it to be fact-checked. If they believed him and what he said, they would be fine with him being fact-checked. Then they'd be like, great, look, prove it, because now we know it's right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, like, that's the problem too. Is like, I've fact-checked and researched and commented and replied to a lot of people online and in the past few months about all this, and so like the Dems and the left, which obviously I voted for Biden, obviously, but I'm not opposed to like the ideals of both sides. Just people on the extreme of either side are not making each other look good, and they're not helping the cause. Because the people on the left, whoever is doing like the most extreme side, the people on the right now are even more scared of them, saying you're going to ban this and that, and obviously everyone wants a good economy. But they don't realize like middle America, I mean, we're not rich. They're middle income or low income, and fucking Trump is obviously benefiting a lot of corporations and maybe rich people, maybe. But that's about it. That's all. And people don't understand. Like, Trump went to Iowa and he just started fucking shitting on their crops and shit. And he's like, I didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize, and that's a shame for me. And basically, like, I know you have like there was like a flood or something that happened in Iowa, and it fucked up all their shit. And he was like, I have to be here to talk to you guys because I'm basically risking of, he's so transparently like selfish and self-interested, although he's not benefiting the people that are voting for him, but they don't realize that.
Right.
Trump is like a child.
No. The people that are voting for him aren't benefiting from him, is what you meant to say.
He's done the magic trick of making them think that they are.
Yeah.
He's done.
No, you're right. A majority of the people that I feel like are voting for Trump, especially in our state, it's like you're not benefiting from him at all. You're not in the fucking 1%. I think a majority of these fucking people.
I think those people like him because they see themselves in him, and he's being idiotic and it sounds terrible, but he's being idiotic and what's the word? Brusque. He's just being so gross and like a bro that I think some people are like, they see themselves in him and they like that because they also want to say a lot of the things that he's saying that is not politically correct to say.
Yeah, so I feel like the number one response from a majority of the people that are voting for him is like, everybody gets asked, why are you voting for him? And I feel like every single fucking one of them is like, he tells it like it is. It's like, really? Is that how it is? Like,
That's not how
Right.
it is.
That's how it
is
is
that
to
how it
him.
is?
Right. He's just
That's
talking
how it
to you
is
like
to
a friend.
him, and like
Right.
his warped perception of like how
Right.
things are.
And people need to look at his previous interviews where he's been the same way, he's grown up with a silver spoon in his mouth. He has actually been racist, even though he says he's the least racist person alive.
Compared to Abraham Lincoln.
Right, whatever, like all the fucking bullshit he's saying. And we're in the age where like no one knows what to believe, and that's really unhelpful for people that are even, I don't want to say stupid, but honestly I feel like we're in the age of like people need to start critically to think for themselves. And he I don't think he's doing himself a favor trying to go to the extreme side of like what Leah was saying, was of the people that see themselves in him and just vote for him solely on that fact, because that's what they blatantly say. That it's not like he's doing anything in the past 4 years that I see that was actually useful.
It's also human nature. I mean, you see it everywhere you go. You see it at work. You see, people who are like-minded, they start hanging out together. They're best friends. They become best friends. I mean, you want to be around people who think like you. You want to reinforce your own ideas. So I think people
he doesn't give a shit.
It's like some people that's reinforcing their ideas of like, fuck. I want to be able to say all this like really like politically. I think I'm with Bill Maher on this. Like all that politically incorrect stuff really fucked us up, because we went so far into like what wasn't politically incorrect or okay to say, and all the Me Too stuff came out, and then people couldn't redeem themselves, and you couldn't say certain things, and everyone was walking on eggshells, and I really feel like that fucked us.
Yeah, then you get the extreme come into the picture, and you're just like, oh, now he's saying it how it is. It's like, that's not how it is, though. It's
people are like, I want to unbutton my pants, put my hands on my pants, and call my lady a bitch. Like,
right.
They want to be.
He's saying shit that he thinks his base will benefit. So what I was trying to say before is that he could easily have just toned it down, like at any point in the past fucking 2 years, and actually probably, if he loses this election, he could have done so many things to just temper, and like he could have won. I don't want him to win, but he could have played this smarter with the abortion debate with the Supreme Court justice. He doesn't give a shit. Like, he probably had so many people that before, like people he dated had abortions and shit. He doesn't fucking care. I mean, he's just saying that because he believes his supporters are gonna say, yeah, everyone should have a baby, and they don't think about what happens afterwards when we have like fucking 4 million surplus people that the Republicans don't want to give welfare to. Because that's what's gonna happen. I have Republican friends that have way too many fucking babies, and then they get welfare, and then they're complaining about the left. So it's a lot of hypocrisy, but I just like what I tell Leah, I don't even bother. It's just so stupid that I don't even bother with that shit. Like that, and again, I look on social media a lot. I don't comment as much as I could because I don't want to waste my time, because there's way more important things in life. So to wrap up the election thing, because I'm going to talk about the other important things in life that we consider important, which is gaming and other shit. Do you guys have any other thoughts with elections tonight? Or I don't think it's going to end tonight. I think it's going to be the rest of the week, even though Trump's going to claim victory probably tonight.
Well, I hope the world gets burned down before tomorrow, so I don't have to go to work.
I think I'm doing a little bit of reverse psychology on myself, kind of like, everyone's, we've been very wrong with predictions so far, so everyone's kind of predicting that there's going to be chaos and burning flames and shit, and I'm hoping that it's completely wrong and that it's actually not. People don't freak out as much, and maybe the freak out will be next week. It'll be like a delayed freak out, and we won't be ready for that freak out.
Like a delayed response.
Yeah, it reminds me of like so much, but it's like whatever I'll talk about myself. Like whatever I think is going to happen, it's usually like a complete opposite, but it's still kind of weird, and it happens later, and I don't know. So.
Fuck, that'd be hilarious.
I think that it's going to be a shit show, but not right when people think
right. It's like the shock from the event happening is so extreme that it like pushes your like ability to even comprehend it like by a week. And you're
Yeah,
just like, oh shit! Do you guys remember what happened last week?
or that, like, it'll be more of an insidious thing where maybe it's not outright chaos right away, but something else happens. Like so many people talk about things like they know what's going on. Like no one could have predicted any of this, so how can we predict what's going to happen going forward?
Yeah,
know.
that's part of the reason I don't vote.
Yeah.
And also, not having to
So-
go to jury duty is pretty fucking awesome.
So wait, how's that even happen?
I mean, isn't jury duty dictated by your voter registration?
I don't think
I'm
so.
fairly certain it is because I've never had jury duty before.
No way. No way. That can't be.
I feel like Cullen is the poster child of telling everyone like what everyone tries to tell people not to do, which is like you should always try to vote and go and be a part of the system. But
Nah, man, we don't need to vote.
I understand the desire to. I've told you what I felt about that, Colin. Basically, it's like the train is going out of the station with you or not, so you might as well get on it and participate because it's happening, whether you like it or not. But
right.
with that being said, I also understand that even when you do, because I voted for Obama and I loved Obama, and I still do. But like, okay, he did Obamacare, and he did probably some other stuff I don't know about. But like for the most part,
He got Osama bin Laden.
Yes, he did. Thank you. For the most part, though, everything kind of remained the same. And look, he left, and now we're even worse than we were. So I don't have a lot of faith in government either. I understand.
So we'll leave the election.
I think you should just sit home, not vote,
Yeah.
buy guns.
Yeah.
and
No.
Marilyn Manson.
No, that's okay. Well, let's leave it at that, and also that the elections, whoever gets elected, we'll deal with it. It's a president. It's not going to
Is
be.
Marilyn Manson even considered like controversial anymore? I feel like today's generation would be like, "Who the fuck's that old man?"
I
Like,
think the controversial part about Marilyn Manson is whether he did or did not remove his rib to suck his own dick.
Mm.
I think that's the most controversial. Like, did he? I want to know.
yeah, I want to know too, man. I
Was
want to
that
know
a
how that
myth?
worked out for him.
Well,
Did that-
listen, we'll talk about Marilyn Manson's dick sucking another day, but that closes off the election topic with Cullen's words of advice. So God save us all. But while I get another beer, let me say I don't want to go too deep into the next topic because I think it's pretty clear cut. But I wanted to, Cullen, I got really upset by Nvidia delaying their GeForce cards, and Cullen knew this was going to happen. But Cullen, I want to know that you were actually upset when it first happened to you because you were going for the first batch, which is the 3090, 3080. You were upset. Don't lie to me.
Very upset.
You were very upset. So
I was because I up until this point, I've never really had to deal with competing against scripts and bots and fucking scalpers and shit like that. And it's just frustrating that companies can be allowed to do shit like that and it's somehow considered legal.
So I think that the sunny side of this, I don't think there's much to debate on this one, but that I think, Cullen, in your opinion, I mean, lawmakers there's going to be some changes because the winner here was like eBay, just making money for literally doing nothing, of all these scalpers just selling all these high-priced items, thousands of them. The laws are going to change, but like you told me, and like I've read, we're not going to be able to buy probably a card. I'm not even going to bother looking until next year, right?
Yeah, you're probably not going to be looking at one of the 3000 series until probably mid-2021.
Yep.
I mean, Matt, you're talking about the people that fucking made sure the Nintendo Switch was completely unavailable for 6 months.
Yeah, they did the same thing, right? You were saying.
Like, you can't compete with these people. You can't. It's scripts. It's a fucking script.
I agree with Matt though that they're just a little bit behind and they haven't regulated it in the way that they need to, and they are. It's similar to Facebook and the regulation that they're doing and that they're now implementing or starting to implement. I think that with the internet and everything changing, I don't know much about this card thing, but it seems like if something goes on sale and it's all sold out at 9, it's like Ticketmaster, but for technology and computer parts, which not going to work.
Let me put into a little more perspective, because Leah has a gaming laptop, so this still is a podcast for a lot of gamers out there, and for the people who don't understand what we're talking about, fuck you. But she does have a gaming laptop, and
I don't understand it. I barely understand it. So
no, but you're knowing it better through us veteran PC gamers, but.
Sure.
Yeah, but let me put this into perspective here. Remember with the pandemic starting with toilet paper, and then let me put a tech item out there. Remember when the Oculus Quest and all VR items were out of stock because everyone just rushed to buy one because they were afraid, like, we're stuck at home and now we're just all buying it. Mm-hmm. I it's kind of like that. I think it's like that. Cullen, do you think the pandemic made the rush to buy this card worse?
No, I don't. I mean, I think
it's gonna happen regardless.
I think it's gonna happen regardless. I mean, it's just, I think the commerce has just changed, man. It's just how it is now until there's regulations made, and it's just anything that's even remotely popular is gonna fall victim to the exact same thing. You know, people are getting their PlayStation 5 orders canceled and shit like that because the exact same thing is happening. Mm-hmm. This is just how business is being done now with popular items, and it sucks. There's nothing that anybody can do about it until
they regulate it.
Until they regulate it, and
it also seems like they don't have the proper production.
They don't.
Because they can make more money. If they make more money, there's demand.
What I think happened was Nvidia jumped the gun. Nvidia wanted to fire the first shot with the big Navi against AMD's big Navi card.
Right.
So they could throw out, their first wave of shit.
So they prematurely calculated because they were
basically what happened was they
had sex. It was great.
They fubbed the launch because they were like, all right, well, we need to beat them to the punch, so we don't have nearly enough units made, but we're still going to fucking announce this line, and we're going to put it out there. It's going to sell out immediately. And then AMD is going to announce their thing, and then Nvidia is going to fucking retaliate and be like, oh, now here's our TI variants, and here's our fucking, 3090 Super and shit like that. Like, that's what always happens, but I think they fumbled so badly now because I think DDR6 is one of the main reasons that DDR6 is in low supply apparently. And
they're actually they're also using the Samsung factory for, I think, the GPU and CPU or whatever.
Yeah.
And AMD is actually using a different manufacturer, by the way. So they might be more in stock.
So I'm sorry, I don't care very much about the specific product, but what I do care about is the incompetence and inefficiency of process and how they distribute it to people, because the problem is the way that they so they weren't actually interested in providing a quality product to their clients.
It's not that they weren't interested in providing.
No, they were more interested in competing and getting something out at a certain time, whether it was ready or not.
Yeah, let me ask this question to you both and to Cullen. Yeah, to Leah's point is that they actually knew the quantity that they were providing, and they said, I read this today, Cullen, is that the president of Nvidia said, oh, we didn't expect the demand to be this big, but they released let's say 20,000 3070s or something. That is clearly not enough. They fucking knew from the very beginning that they did not have enough quantity for this, and they knew it was going to be a bidding war.
No, I knew that. And they knew that too. And I've been reading that brick and mortar vendors like fucking Micro Center are getting 5 units per week.
Right. I didn't even bother going there.
How the fuck are we supposed to sell these?
That feels like a marketing ploy to me. It feels like some kind of weird cycle. They brought a psychologist in at the top level, and they were like, all right, how can we make people want our product more?
But they didn't, we did the calculations of what eBay's going to make or what the scalpers make, but Nvidia's not making anything out of the surplus of price that everyone else is profiting off of in terms of the scalping and the bots and all that stuff. So what the fuck was Nvidia, after failing to launch 3080s and 3090s, literally for the 3070s, the next series, they didn't learn their lesson a month later, and they do the exact same thing, and then everyone else buys it out. Literally, I was waiting there before 9 o'clock, and I was telling Cullen that it was already sold out somehow before I even fucking touched the button.
Well,
And maybe it happened. I'm just saying, like, they already did. They failed the second time, so they're just doing it just because they have to release it and fuck it. But they're losing a lot of respect.
It's either complete incompetence or it's happening for a reason. I mean, are they delaying that because they want so that when they do have the product to sell again, that they can upcharge it?
No, they can't change the price on it. They're not going to change the price on it. That's what I'm saying. Is that they're not gaining anything by pissing people off by shipping low quantities of something that they know is going to sell out in 2 seconds. But
the thing, they promised a lot. There's a big generational difference between the 2000 series and the 3000 series. So, from the announcement, people were very excited about it. So you had that proponent. You had a lot of people anticipating this coming out. There's a lot of games coming out that are going to benefit from having these extreme fucking leaps.
It is a leap from. It is a bigger leap from the 20 to the 10. Yeah,
and it's like that was, I think.
Yep.
One of the things that kind of doomed it from the start was like that they're promising so much that it's just impossible for them to fucking. I think even if they did have manufacturing or whatever it is that's preventing them from shipping out these quantities, I feel like, considering what they promised, considering how many games are coming out, it'd still be pretty fucking hard to get. But not like this though. It's not like,
Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm an interrupter. I interrupt constantly. It sounds like they have a monopoly on this product, because you'd think that there would be other companies that could also produce this that would be like, oh, that company fucked up. They overpromised. Here you go, and now they make bank because they have all the product and they sell it.
Well, we'll find out November, I think 17th, or in a week or 2 weeks from AMD, like Cullen said, with Big Navi, which is the only competitor.
They already announced it. They already announced their next gen cards.
The next gen, right? The 68 whatever XT, and they're supposedly faster. And I hope Nvidia gets a share from Nvidia and it teaches them a lesson, and they can fucking make the practice fair for the future. But transitioning to games that are taking advantage of the card, let's briefly talk about Cyberpunk. Yet another disappointment to our fucking month of disappointments here, because all three of us were waiting for. I was waiting to buy a card. Cullen was waiting to buy a card. On top of that,
so excited for Cyberpunk.
we all pre-ordered Cyberpunk. We're all getting it, but Cyberpunk got delayed for the fourth time, I believe. And I believe that Cyberpunk, my opinion was that Cyberpunk got delayed because they miscalculated, and they have to make everyone happy for some reason to release on the next gen systems that haven't even come out yet. That's my opinion.
It's not a matter of the next gen systems. It sounds to me, and I'm pretty sure they've even admitted this. I think it's strictly because the current gen consoles, it just runs like complete garbage on them.
Okay,
and they need this time to optimize it for the current gen consoles. But at the same time, it's kind of insulting when you listen to the fucking CEO of CD Projekt Red during fucking investor calls being like, well, the game is ready on PC. We're just waiting for the consoles. It's like, you know what? Fuck you then. Just release the fucking game on PC. You don't have to please everybody at once. Right. I mean, it's also unheard of. They're trying to release on 9 platforms, including Stadia and shit like that.
Right.
They're trying to do that simultaneously, and that's almost impossible, dude.
Yeah, they do it in phases. That's so dumb.
Yeah. So I don't think there's much to talk about that, because a lot of people got pissed off, and so the next game that actually made it. I was not gonna buy this game right off the bat.
Hold on, before you go on to the next topic.
Yeah.
I swear by CD Projekt Red, I'm the biggest fan there is out there, man. But you know what? I read the other day that their fucking stock dropped 25% in the past couple months because of their constant delays, and it's like, fuck it. I feel like that is what's going to make them release this game. When their investors are taking a look at their numbers and they have to make these conference calls being like, hey, so why is our stock going down 25%? Oh, because we delayed it for the 50th time.
Right.
Yeah,
okay, well, can you just release the fucking game then?
Right.
Yeah,
I think that's
I
going to
agree.
light a fire under their ass, and that kind of gives me hope that, like, hey, smarten the fuck up, like, soon.
Right.
Well, the money will always light a fire under their ass. But to me, it's just poor management too, because when you're doing something like that, I mean, I work in the architecture engineering industry. Like when you're doing something like that, you have to build in time in your schedule for things to go wrong. You build in time in your schedule for things to be delayed. So if they're
Right.
delayed this much, I mean, this was delayed how many times? 5? I mean, that means like
4.
Yeah.
something, like things went wrong over and over and over and over again, which it's just, it just makes you, it's not quality. You don't want
No, they keep delaying it under the fucking pretense of, like, we're trying to release the best, most polished game that we can possibly release. It's like, motherfucker, you're not going to be able to do that. No matter, you could spend the rest of your life perfecting this formula. It's not going to be perfect.
Right.
For
Yeah.
everybody.
Right. It's like baking a cake. Like you can't take it out too early, but you can't take it out too late, and at some point you have to take it out.
Yeah.
Or else you have no cake.
Yes. It's I mean, it's just insulting to just listen to them
sit there and, like, admit that it's ready for PC.
Right.
And basically be like, oh, we gotta wait until this is even remotely playable on the current gen consoles because they're just not up to par yet. And I'm like, look, like, my position on consoles, man. Like, I like consoles. Like, I have consoles. I play both PCs and consoles. But, like,
Right.
it comes down to it at the end of the game. Like, at the end of the day, I'm going to be playing on my PC, and it's like, at the end of the day, if it came to a choice between the two, fuck consoles and fuck waiting for them so games can fucking function on them. Like, that doesn't matter to me. It's like, just if it's ready for one system, release it already, for fuck's sake. Like, what are you doing?
Right. They should take the Rockstar model, fucking release it to what we know we can release it for, and then everyone else, like in this case PC, fuck themselves until a year, 2 years later, and release it. But for some reason, CD Projekt Red is doing that, which obviously does not help us, especially the PC gamers. But
well, Matt, you're a project manager, Matt. I mean, you understand. Like, clearly, someone made a mistake, or many people made mistakes along the way, because to not be able to deliver this often,
I was reading that a majority of the developers didn't even know it was delayed until it was announced.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like, that's gotta suck, man. I mean, to be telling your fans, like, yeah, full confirmation, like, it's definitely coming out on the 19th.
Right. And then on top of that, they get death
fucking
threats.
day.
Right.
So.
Well, so the brighter side of the coin here, and by the way, so for people watching, we're flying from Boston to Washington, because I think
it kind of looks like the same scene. Like, I feel like we've just been coasting. We're just chilling up in the sky right now.
Well, we are in an airline. I know Cullen's probably playing Subnautica.
No, right now, I'm not. I'm trying to watch your stream, dude. It's like Frozen.
It's really pretty.
It's the same shit, dude. It's just
Oh, is it? Wait, no,
like
something is moving.
No, it's just I'm flying at night, and we're flying. We're flying in real time. Yeah, we're flying in real time in an airliner for the first time.
Yeah.
If
you were in the cockpit, this is what it would look like.
Yeah.
Slow going.
Right. We're gonna get there soon, but I do want to get to the next topic. And then we'll probably game afterwards, as we have done every week.
Wait, there was 2 things we were going to talk about, but one of them I really want to talk about. I think I know where you're leading into, but
well, which topic? So I was leading into the next thing to Cyberpunk was I just want to briefly talk about this, and then we got into severe debate on the story of this, as you know, with Assassin's Creed, which I've now decided I'm buying Assassin's Creed Valhalla on day of release, with Leah, Cullen's buying it, and I like Assassin's Creed. I was like one of the first people to fucking say I love Assassin's Creed 2, and I played most Assassin's Creed since, Assassin's Creed 2. So we're all buying it, and I think Valhalla's benefiting from Cyberpunk's delay. But go ahead, Cullen.
I have almost every Assassin's Creed game.
Yep.
I mean, I bought them
when they were on sale or whatever. I caught them. I think the only one I paid full price for was Black Flag.
Right.
And
that's a great one. That's like top 3.
I've noticed my opinion of Assassin's Creed games is that the farther away from the Assassin's Creed formula they stray, the more I like them. Because I think the story is fucking awful. It's stupid. It's really fucking stupid. And I don't think there was ever a time where it was fucking fun. And, 13 games later, you're still fighting Templars. You're like, come on, can we like just not do this anymore?
Did you play Assassin's Creed 2?
Yeah.
What did you think about the story? Because that's where the story was still really good, I believe.
I didn't get very far into it, so I don't.
Oh, you never beat it?
No, I don't really have an opinion on that one.
Okay.
But it's just like I remember I was playing it and I'm like, it's exactly like the first one.
Because
it was fun.
Right.
It was fun to do the first time around, but then you're like 27 times later, you're just like, I'm doing the same shit. Now you've got this division between fans that are purists of the series that want that old experience where it's like, the stealth, and that's fine. But it's like, I don't like it personally. Like, I take a look at Odyssey, and I like that formula a lot because it didn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game. It just felt like an RPG. Straight up RPG. Right. And I like that. And it looks like, I'm interested in Valhalla because I'll fucking buy any major Viking game. I like Viking shit. I mean, this is one of the only settings that I've ever...
Did you watch? There was a show on Netflix called The Vikings. I hope you watched it.
There's one called Kingdom on Netflix or something like that.
Maybe it wasn't on Netflix, but there was a show called The Vikings that was supposedly really good.
Vikings? No, that was on the History Channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've seen some of that. It's good.
Yeah.
I just like Scandinavian influence stuff. I am a Scandinavian weeb, admittedly, if that's a thing. I'm coining that. Somebody who's obsessed with Japanese culture, but I'm obsessed with Scandinavian culture.
Okay.
So I'd like to think I'm the progenitor of that genre of person.
I've never even heard of this genre of person.
So I mean, listen, like the Assassin's Creed story is a clusterfuck, and it takes people probably 25 YouTube videos and 5 coffee table books to figure out what the fuck Ubisoft was trying to do with Assassin's Creed. The writer left after Assassin's Creed 2. So,
I don't think they had a comprehensive vision. Yeah. Because I similar to my introduction to guns, my introduction to Assassin's Creed was very askew because I only played Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah, you started with Odyssey, and it's totally different. Yeah.
Right.
Matt showed me Assassin's Creed 2, I think it was 2 or 1, very briefly, and I was like, "This sucks. Like, what is this?"
Exactly. That's my opinion of it, and what made me gravitate towards Black Flag, which was like games ago. It wasn't even they were still kind of abiding by that old formula, where the animus and like the sci-fi angle of it was still a really large portion of it, and that is the stuff that drove me fucking insane because
they don't have that in Odyssey.
Right.
Really?
They had like one section in Odyssey where you have to fucking do the animus or something, but then you get in the DLC, it's totally different. Like you have to fucking do the animus and all this shit a lot. But it sucked because I was playing Black Flag and I really fucking enjoyed it. And then all of a sudden, they just yank you out of the game, and like you're in an office, and you're like, "Hey, why don't you call the IT guy and talk to him?" It's like, what the fuck am I doing? Can I go back to being a pirate? Like, this isn't why I bought this game.
But then don't call it Assassin's Creed. Then don't call it Assassin's Creed, right?
But Matt, we were listening. I don't know what we were talking about or listening to earlier, but I heard a video or something where they were talking about Assassin's Creed, and they were talking about how Odyssey should not have been an Assassin's Creed game. They clearly wanted to do something different. They should have just made like a Greek Origins kind of like RPG
Right, but
standalone.
if they did that, the story better be fucking good. Right?
Then you'd get the fucking
The
fans
story-
being like, well, this is exactly like Assassin's Creed without the stealth.
Okay, you can,
know?
yeah,
Like,
you
you
can
get
never
that
win.
argument.
You can never win. That's the thing. You can't please everybody.
Well, so Cullen doesn't care for the modern story. I obviously am trying to make sense of it all, but I did enjoy Origins, and I'm hoping that with Valhalla, they are continuing the story arc of Assassin's Creed. Both, you know, I hope
what would have been wrong with them just making these games period pieces? Instead of having to integrate the modern story, the sci-fi aspect with the animus, and reliving other people's memories, like, why the fuck could they not have just made these games period pieces? They could have made an entire series out of every fucking period they wanted to. They didn't even need to have a cohesive story that tied them all together. That's the problem now. That's what's convoluting the story. It's the fact that they're taking all these drastically different points of time and trying to tie them all together and unify them with some fucking convoluted story that no one even gives a shit about anymore. It's like, stop. Why are you doing that? Just make period piece games. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. And if they did do that, they would obviously have to. I mean, you have games for Honor from Ubisoft, which is literally like, okay, that's a game by itself, which somehow failed. And Leah actually,
the game is it's totally different though. That's an online game. That's basically a deathmatch.
Well, they could have still kept the Assassin's Creed games. They could have still tied them together with the sci-fi element, but not with the sci-fi thing not being as much a part of the story. Like they could have made them standalone period pieces, like you're saying, still tied them together with the sci-fi thing, but not have made it so I don't even know what the word is. Like,
well,
They did
do that with Odyssey. So
integral. It was
the
so
thing that kind of drew me into Odyssey was prior to playing Odyssey. If you'd asked me if I'd ever be interested in playing a fucking Greek-themed game, I'd probably be like, no. I mean, there's been Greek-themed games out there. Was it Rise, Son of Rome was another one that came out a little while ago?
Right.
I had no fucking interest in it. What kept me interested, and I found kind of surprising, was that I found myself, like, genuinely interested in some of the mythology that they were incorporating into the game. It's like I was learning about all this shit.
Socrates is a big character in Odyssey, and I'm like, oh yeah, Socrates.
That was kind of fun for me. It was kind of like a fucking interactive history lesson.
But at the same time, it's like I feel like without the modern day story, you could just focus on that. Like, why? What's wrong with that? Why not just like focus on mythology during these periods of times, like cultural influences and stuff like that? That would have been so much more intriguing to me than trying to unify all these drastically different games with some stupid fucking story about the goddamn Templars and Assassins Brotherhoods. Like, who fucking cares? I don't even care about being an assassin anymore. I didn't play Odyssey as an assassin. I played Odyssey as a fucking warrior and just ran in and fucking killed shit. Like, I like doing that. I don't want to like.
Well, because Odyssey was before the Assassins, but I get your point.
Well,
you haven't played Assassin's Creed 2 all the way to the end to understand that the story was actually decent until that point, until the writer left. Assassin's Creed 3 was a shit show. That's when the writer left. And then they end the story with Juno, which I'm sure half the people don't know what I'm talking about, is that in the comic books. So Ubisoft, I just hope that they fucking put it together. If not, take off the Assassin's Creed name and do what Cullen is saying, which is just fucking make a period piece on the game, and that's it.
Well, I think you guys
I'd have no problem.
You're missing a big part of this, which is that a lot of it has to do with money and marketing. So, like, these games are really successful because they have the Assassin's Creed name on them. So exactly. I feel like there's more of an element of trying to make a game that they really are passionate about and molding it into an already pre-established or pre-approved template of some kind of name or something. It's marketing and money.
Like, when I first saw the announcement trailer for Valhalla, I was so fucking excited. I was like, dude, I was watching it. I was like, this is exactly what I've wanted in a fucking Assassin's Creed game. And literally, the minute in the trailer where he fucking takes out that hidden blade, I was just like, oh my god, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, this looks like the stupidest shit I've ever seen. Like, Viking assassins, dude. Like, what? You fucking joking me? Like,
I'm so nervous because we're gonna all play it, and I swear to God, like, obviously you guys are gonna get way further ahead than me, and then I'm gonna be like, how do I get the Templar?
I don't want to play as a Viking assassin. Vikings like history. I don't remember any point in history where fucking Vikings had dedicated roles as fucking sneaky assassons. They have reputations for sacking castles and shit like that. Like,
they weren't sneaky. They were force. But I'm pretty sure Vikings were overt and not sneaky. They were like, I'm gonna fucking cut your head off now. Like, they were not
exactly.
Yeah.
So that it was like a conflict of interest. Like, I was like very into what I was seeing when I saw the first trailer for it, and then as soon as that fucking hidden blade came out, I was like, no. I know why you're doing this. I know this is from Backlash from fucking Odyssey because it didn't feel enough like an Assassin's Creed game. But like, I was fine with that. I was totally fine with that, and you could have kept doing that. You could have satisfied a lot of fucking people.
Right.
But you also would have alienated a lot of people that were looking for Assassin's Creed 1 or 2. But, I mean, I don't understand, like, I don't know, man. Like, people that are still playing that series, you know, for the story or for the fucking stealth elements, like, there's a lot of games out there that you can fucking play. There's a lot of great stealth games out there. I mean, I think the Phantom Pain is fucking phenomenal. It's a phenomenal stealth game.
Yeah, the Metal Gear series.
Nerd.
Yeah, Metal Gear.
Gears of War, when we first started, well, I don't know. I guess when we first started dating, like, I was really into Gears of War. That was like one of the first games that, like, let's play it all the time. And now, I mean, like, whatever. Now we're over it. And we're into like an Assassin's. I don't know. We jump from game to game, I guess, but.
Matt plays whatever I want to play.
Yeah, that's true. I get whatever game Cullen makes me get, and then I regret it half the time. But we are playing Division 2, which
game again. No. Cullen made me. That's what he says.
Right. Division 2 is pretty fun. We're playing that right now. But Cullen, was the next topic you wanted to talk about? Was it Phasmaphobia, or what was it? Okay, so let's talk about Let's talk about Phasmaphobia, which is a pretty big game right now with the.
Wait, can I ask a question before you get into Phasmaphobia?
Sure.
Like the game play itself and all this stuff. I love Phasmaphobia, right? But like the way that you guys just one day were like, do you want to play this game? How do you guys find these really awesome games? Because
I found it because it was a top seller on Steam, and it was in my wheelhouse. I love survival horror games.
Anything that's survival horror that gets an overwhelmingly positive review on Steam, I'm pretty much decided I'm going to buy. I really like horror shit, so I saw that it was really, really popular, and it still is. And considering it's only like a $13 game, it doesn't have like a shitload of content, but for what you pay, I think it's fucking phenomenal. And I think it's very impressive what they do, because I think it's difficult to make an intriguing or like genuinely frightening experience with co-op. I think you take away from the horror aspect a lot if you integrate co-op into it, and I think they pulled this off very uniquely, and I think they did it very well. The way that they still made it like scary and fucking fun to play with other people.
Yeah, the game that people think, like, oh, you want to play something scary, play this instead. I think they're trying to be edgy, but have you ever heard of White Noise 2?
No.
Okay, no. Yeah, it's kind of like Phasmaphobia, but it was older, and it didn't look that scary to me. So anyway, yeah, Phasmaphobia is really well done. So
there's a lot of great single player horror games. I'm a big fan of Visage. Visage is fucking phenomenal. It's one of the few games that I actually thought was scary when I played it.
We should play it. Why don't we play it?
You
I've
can't.
never heard of
It's
that.
not a co-op game. It's a single player game. But
See,
I mean,
I couldn't play Phasmaphobia by myself. I would be
if
too much.
if you're ever looking for a fucking really good fucking single player horror game, you should get Visage. It's basically the spiritual successor to PT, which was the unannounced project that what's his name, Hideo Kojima had for Silent Hills with Norman Reedus. It was precursory to Death Stranding. Hideo Kojima and Norman Reedus were working on a Silent Hills game, and it ended up getting canned. So they started doing Death Stranding just so they could continue working together. And that's a story of that. But Visage is fucking phenomenal, and I just want to throw it out there. If you're ever in the fucking mood for a great single-player horror game, play Visage.
But Cullen, when you play these games, do you actually get scared?
No.
Colin, have you ever gotten scared with Phasmaphobia?
No.
Because I played Phasmaphobia with VR, and it was pretty fucking terrifying.
I mean, there's some games in it. There's some moments in it that I think are like. Some of the jump scares in it are pretty fucking good. Like when the thing will like breathe as it passes you or something, or you'll hear that grudge sound. It's like, oh shit, like it's here.
Right. Footsteps behind you, and then or sometimes it'll just like blink, show up and be like, ah. And then
no, I think that's. I mean, genuinely scared. No, like it hasn't genuinely scared me, but I do think in terms of what it is, which is a co-op horror game, which I think would be very difficult, a formula to perfect, to make scary.
Right.
I think it's successful in that sense.
Right.
You know, I think it is successful for people that probably don't only watch horror movies like me, but.
Well, I'll be honest. The reason why, so you gave me a lot of shit for going into the house with, or staying in the van because I was afraid to go in and stay there to get that third piece of evidence.
He wasn't afraid.
I did it because.
No. Okay.
Well, I just want to let you know. You gave me a lot of praise for going in the house later, just sticking it out, but I did it because I purposely did not buy any equipment. So I knew I was going to lose anything, so I just went in there, and that's why.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but that's the risk you run playing that game. Like,
he's the least Jewish Jew. He's a Jewish Jew that, I mean, I don't understand any of it. But like, we're in a video game where you get money. The only way to spend the money is on equipment. And he's like, I don't want to spend equipment. So he's going to die one day and still have like $2,000 in Phasmophobia.
The only way you're going to get money in that game is by completing objectives and successfully guessing what the ghost is. It's like 9 out of 10 times when you're just chilling back in the van, one of us gets killed or something, you're just like, well, we just got to guess what it is now. It's like, no, it's but I'm always pushing to get like the third piece of evidence.
But in order to complete the objectives, though, you do need to bring a lot of gear. And my point is that bring a lot of gear, complete the objectives, and for the additional whatever money, and I think it does multiply when you get in the higher difficulties, guessing the ghost.
It does.
I'd rather be like, okay, let's cut our losses short, not die, and lose all the fucking shit I just brought with me. Because you do lose money like that.
Yeah, I mean, but that's kind of like, that's what kind of makes it fun, is like the risk. If there was no risk involved in doing this, if it was just like, besides the fact, they give you insurance money when you die. They're not even, I mean, sometimes the insurance is more money than you're making on the evidence you find. So sometimes there's more incentive to die than there is to actually fucking play the game.
Yeah.
But like,
well, I don't know how to calculate that, but
that's part of the game, dude. Like, that's the risk. And
he's squirreling away all this money so that he
for what?
That's my point. Is like the whole reason to squirrel away the money is so you can buy
shit and bring it in case you lose it. You buy more.
I know, buy more, exactly. And he's like, well, I might lose the shit. I'm like, what's the point of making the money then? Like, that's how I feel about life, though, too. It's like, I make money and I want to save, and I save very well. But like, I also sometimes I just want to buy like a chocolate cake. Why am I working
Matt.
hard?
Well, you save up that chocolate cake, and the ghost doesn't even eat the chocolate cake.
Right.
It's not even an objective.
Yeah. I'm glad Leah's relating Phasmophobia with real life, because that scares me.
Everything goes back to cake at least.
Yeah.
She has a point.
Well, in any case, yeah, Phasmaphobia. We have a lot of fun. We'll probably play that. We're playing Division 2, and I don't know. I guess there's not a lot I could say about Phasmaphobia right now, except
I love Phasmaphobia.
it's a fucking scary game.
I'm glad you guys got on board with that because I saw it on Steam and I was like, I want this fucking game, but I don't want to play alone.
Right.
So I told you, I was like, dude, if I can get Phasmophobia, it's only $13. And like,
I have friends that play. People that I'm like, you've heard of this game? You know what I'm talking about? They
usually fucking getting Matt to fuck on board with a game, staying committed to a game is very hard.
I'm kind of happy that he's kind of stuck it out with this one.
Well, as long as we all play it, it's a fucking blast. And I actually love playing. We initially played us 3, which is a good amount of players for the game. But then adding the 4th one was even more fun. We got the high, dude. I'm telling you, the high school in VR is fucking terrifying. Yeah. Maybe the strong flashlight. A lot of people have been playing the game like with candles and just being hardcore and be like, we're not going to use flashlights, we're just going to use candles.
That's so weird, though.
Yeah.
Why would you
that's
use
even
a
fucking crazy for me. I'm just
yeah. You don't walk around in the dark.
I think I've read somewhere that the ghost will actually blow out your candle, so that's kind of like an indicator if there's like a presence or some activity near you.
Right.
Is this your like bucket list Phasmophobia moment where you're like, I need to get the candle blown out? Because we still have to get the Ouija board too.
I've gotten results with the Ouija board before. Matt, is this Arlington? This looks like Arlington.
This is I think this is Arlington. This is
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, we're in Boston, so Cullen's right there, and we're
So
near.
you left DC.
Yeah, this might be Arlington because we're near Cambridge.
Is that Cambridge? Because that looks like those like near Alewife.
Yeah. We're on the east side of the city right
damn,
now.
dude, that's fucking great. Is that no? That's Alewife right there.
Go fly over our apartment, Matt. You're right near it.
Dude, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So, and I wish I had a 3070 right now, so this would run smoother. But we are. I will fly over. I know because I used to work at MIT, so if I'm gonna fly over MIT if I keep going this way. I don't actually know exactly what we're flying over, but it's definitely like Burlington.
You just passed Alewife back there. I saw Alewife.
Do you think that was Alewife?
That was Cambridge back there, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're heading towards the city now.
Well, I'll show you what MIT is. We did this tour before. I put it on some new graphic settings, Cullen, which didn't even recommend it for my computer. It was like, oh, you should put it all on low. I'm like, fuck you. You're trying to make me buy a 3070 right now. Fucking Fuck them.
The arguments you have with your computer, I swear.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Phasmophobia is great. I am such a horror fan. I literally all I watch is fucking horror movies. So I pretty desensitized to horror in general.
Right.
I respect that. Outside of the month of October, it's respectable.
Really? Like,
Yeah, to watch horror movies all year round. Yeah,
I love horror movies.
You're watching horror movies at like Christmas time and shit. That's respectable. I'm all about Halloween and I love horror movies, but I can't do it all the time.
I mean, come on. You guys have to admit it. It's a little scary when the ghost shuts the door behind you, locks it, and you're fucking stuck there.
I have never said it's not scary. It is very scary. I have audibly screamed numerous times. With my new headphones, I have a new headset, and it's even more scary because I can actually hear her breathing, her or him, whoever.
You know, it's funny because I feel like Phasmophobia doesn't abide by a lot of the tropes that a lot of the horror games abide by.
What are those? What tropes?
Well, you know, the first major one was, I think, the Penumbra series or Amnesia was like the first series to come out to introduce the gameplay style where you can't fight the ghost. You can't fight monsters. You have to hide from them. You have to outsmart them and shit like that. And that's what made them very successful. I think Amnesia: The Dark Descent is one of the best horror games ever made. And that was the first game I ever played where you could not fight the fucking monster.
Right.
And it added like a whole new element of fucking.
So that's basically like a trope now, because they're releasing horror games left and right that have that gameplay style.
I thought Layers of Fear did a very good job of it. You play
I'm
Layers of
telling
Fear?
you, man, you have to play Visage. Like, Visage is strange because it does actually fall victim to a lot of the tropes that you would usually think weren't scary in a fucking horror movie. Like, if I were to describe them to you right now, you'd be like, that sounds fucking stupid. But, like, the way that the execution of it is very well done.
Right. Well, that's a good recommendation, because I know you jump on the good horror games, and Phasmaphobia was definitely a good pick. But I know we're gonna game. Are we gonna game after this?
Yeah, I need to get another beer though.
Yeah, we're gonna cook real quick. We'll game, but I think this was a good episode for the topics we wanted to cover. Was anyone want to say anything else about Phasmaphobia or anything like that?
I do. Don't vote.
Don't vote.
Why? What? No, don't.
I mean, I feel like
Vote.
Don't fucking vote. It's a scam.
Okay, well, by the time this comes out, and literally it's too late anyway, it doesn't matter. So yeah, don't.
Don't vote in 2024.
God.
There you go. All right, so thanks, Cullen, aka Dresden.
Yes.
Wait, where does Dresden come from? Where's that name from?
Dresden Balls.
No.
Right? No?
It's a city in
Spain or Germany, isn't it?
What? Are you just making up a new reason so you
No,
don't
I'm not.
fucking...
I'm not. I like that name. I think it's a cool name.
Okay, cool. I wasn't
Hold on.
sure.
I'm actually gonna find out where. It's in Germany.
I'm always curious where these things originate from. I mean, Matt's screen name is, Downey Jr., the real Downey, whatever.
Yeah,
and
dude. What's
Robert Downey? I asked him. I'm like, do you really like Robert Downey Jr.? He's like, yeah, he's okay. I'm like, but all your screen names.
Every single screen name he's ever had has been the real Downey Jr.
And he seems very lukewarm about the actual Downey Jr. I'm like, do you want to watch this movie with Robert Downey Jr.? He's like, nah, not really. I'm like, I thought you loved him.
As traditional, we're gonna land into the.
It's an ex of his, and Robert Downey Jr. broke his heart.
Roberta Downey Jr. really
Jesus,
him
dude.
up.
All right, these are
Jesus.
terrible graphics.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, you crashed. Aw.
Okay.
Sad.
Well,
So
that seems like a fitting end to this with the impending election.
Yes, we crashed, and it just went to black.
Yeah, my ears are literally bleeding right now. So.
It shall continue.
Yeah. That is indicative of the election. Hopefully everyone survives. Thanks for everyone. Thanks for everyone for joining the Friendly Podcast, Friendly Skies Podcast, and well, good luck.
Yes.
Good luck and good night.
Don't vote.
Don't vote.